Hello, LinkedIn. Welcome to Data Ki Baat. So, LinkedIn, why LinkedIn is not a question anymore, right? So, the question starts that once you are on the LinkedIn, what to do and how to do. If you are consciously working on your personal brand, if you are trying to build your community, if you are thinking that that you have a thought and you want to build a group around it and bring your people together, the question is that how do you do that? So getting into the LinkedIn is easy, but growing from the community and then group from there is really difficult, or if not difficult, at least tricky. So this topic was very close to my heart, and I was talking to Dylan for trying to understand how he has done it. So what I did is that I got him here in India today on this show. He's going to share some of his experiences growing the group and community on the LinkedIn. So without any delay, I am going to invite Dylan here. Hey Dylan,
Hey there,
welcome.
Sanjeev. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Dylan. So Dylan, we can start with a quick discussion. I know you have been into this show already. You talked about the brand, how to build a personal brand, specifically focused to data people, data professionals. But this topic is really generic because once you start working on your personal brand or trying to put your thought leadership across, you have to have a community, you have to have a group so that you can spread your message across, right? So
Yeah.
Talent, we will quickly jump into the topic. If you want to say a few words and then get into the conversation, that will be great.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so obviously there's lots of ways you can build an audience. You can build an audience through your content, but one of the best ways is to build a community, like a real community, through a LinkedIn group. The challenge is a lot of LinkedIn groups are pretty poor. They don't really deliver for people, either for the members or for the people running the group. They just don't work. So what I'm going to go through today is just to show you how we've created a really successful group and how I advise my clients to create their own groups as well as part of an overall branding strategy. I typically work with data consultancies, but also I work with data professionals as well who are looking to build out their personal brand. And a group can sometimes be a really powerful piece of the puzzle, of that branding puzzle. Creates lots of opportunities for you as well. So I've prepared a few slides, if that's okay, and we'll go through step by step how you do this, some of the mistakes to make, and how you can create a really thriving,
Sure,
popular group.
sure. So I'm going to bring your slides here.
Great.
Um, yeah, I think all yours from here.
Okay, fantastic. So welcome everyone. My name is Dylan Jones. I'm the founder of mydatabrand.com. I'm also the founder of several data communities as well, which you're going to get to see as we go through this short presentation. Okay, so focus today is creating a successful LinkedIn group, and it's really all about accelerating the growth of your data focused business or career through the power of community. So everything I'm going to talk about is through that lens of data. Okay, so there's a bit of a data bias here. Obviously I know the context of the show as well. So part one is really why bother, why put the effort in to do this. Okay, so building a community can be one of, I guess, the most impactful decisions you take to grow your career or business within the data sector. If I look at the success I've had in my own personal data career, my own business data career, there's a kind of before and after. Okay, before I had my websites and my kind of brand presence and my communities, I was doing okay, but things really took off once I started to build community around the data disciplines that I was involved in. So personally, back in 2007, possibly earlier actually, 2006 as well, I launched two community content portals, okay, for the data sector, dataqualitypro.com and datamigrationpro.com. I now run mydatabrand.com to help companies do what I did, but I still run these websites and they're still popular, they still have people coming to them. So when I created these sites, which are essentially communities, I witnessed a steady rise in new clients and opportunities after I did that. And being at the epicenter of a community creates just so many more opportunities that you just can't even imagine. There's things I've got to do that I would never have conceived of if I hadn't have created my own communities and put myself at the center of those communities. Okay, so So like I said, I created data migration and data quality communities, and as a result of doing that, I was then able to become a paid event speaker, a paid content creator. A company would pay me to do research, they would pay me to create white papers and webinars and presentations. I became a strategic marketing coach for these firms. Never would have dreamed of doing that. I found that calling through my communities, people asking for help within the communities. I started creating advocacy programs, teaching other companies how to build their own communities. I became a software reseller. We got sponsors on our websites and our communities. My revenue went up, but I accelerated the opportunities that were in front of me. Okay, so the bigger the community, the more popular the community, the more opportunities will come your way. It's like a karma thing. The more you put into the community, the more you get back from that community. Okay, so the key lesson here, someone was asking me the other day, why communities, why they're so important. If you want to accelerate your personal brand, your data career, your business, you want to build a watering hole. And the way I describe it is, if you wanted to feed yourself, there's two ways you can do it. You can go out in the morning with a rifle and spend all day trying to shoot a buffalo, or depending on where you are in the world, trying to shoot some animal. You might be lucky if you get one animal. If you build a watering hole, the game comes to you. Okay, so you want to build the marketing place which is the best watering hole for your industry. That's our goal when we're building a community. Okay, so we also get a lot of questions at why LinkedIn, why LinkedIn groups, because there are lots of different platforms that you can use. Yeah, so what is the right platform is a question we get asked quite a lot, because you can use Facebook groups. Okay, and everyone says, well, there's more people on Facebook, and Facebook groups seem to be more popular, there's more engagement, why don't we use Facebook? There's Slack, which a lot of technical people, a lot of data people familiar with Slack groups, Slack chat, that type of thing. There's commercial products such as Circle. There's thousands of other community platforms out there you can buy as well. So there's lots of different ways you could build a community. So why LinkedIn? Okay, the reason why I like LinkedIn groups specifically to build a community is because it's very targeted. Okay, the type of people you're typically trying to reach are on there. So you've got this ready-made network. Okay, you've got a ready-made network waiting for you on LinkedIn. It generates organic inbound traffic because people will use the search feature to find groups. Every day we get up to sort of 20 to 30 new members joining one of the groups I'm going to go through as part of a case study in this presentation. So we get new members coming in without me having to go out and buy Google ad traffic or LinkedIn ad traffic. We get organic, just inbound traffic coming to us. You've got invitation features on LinkedIn, so I can invite my connections, I can invite other people to join the group very easily. It doesn't cost me anything, it's free, and it's easy to boost your profile, because if you're visible within that group, if you're sharing a bulletin or newsletter, people see you, and it's a short hop from a link with your name to your profile, and that's a really great way to obviously boost your brand, make some sales if you sell software or services, but it's an easy boost to your profile because you're visible within that community. So essentially LinkedIn gives you three things: reach, resonance, and reaction. Okay, so you have the reach, because as you can see here, I've just done a quick search for data governance in Sales Navigator, and I can see there's 170,000 people who have the term data governance either in their profile or in their title. So if I was building a data governance community via a LinkedIn group, which is what I've done, I've got at least 170,000 people who fit that profile. You won't get that ease of reach on something like Facebook. People don't identify themselves in the same way. I get resonance because I can create a title for the group that's going to resonate with people on LinkedIn, and I get a really good reaction because it's really easy for me to put things into my group that get people to react and take some kind of call to action that's going to help me personally. And that could be selling software services, but it forces people to react in a very simple way. Okay, there's a dark side to LinkedIn, however. There's a problem. We have a few endemic problems with LinkedIn we definitely need to talk about before we talk about all the positives of LinkedIn. Okay, so despite the obvious appeal, LinkedIn groups are notoriously poor for spam. Okay, so if you look at some of these messages here, we've got a promotional pitch for a product, we've got job promotions, We've got lots of promotions around, hey, sign up for my content and I'll probably send you a load of emails, right? We get we get between 5 and 10 either job promotions or product promotions or white paper promotions or webinar promotions a day in our group. None of them get through. We block all of them, so I'll explain how we do that shortly. But if you look at most groups, what you'll see is just a huge amount of spam, and that kills the group. Okay, so the problem is, obviously, most LinkedIn groups suffer from poor engagement, okay, and that comes from poor content, and that generates poor value. There's not much value for people being there, okay, and you can see that because that type of content doesn't get any likes, doesn't get any comments, just zero engagement, kills the group completely. But the real problem is a lack of moderation and management. There's no strategy around the group, and no one is actively moderating it and nurturing it. Okay, it's like if you're trying to raise a crop, or raise animals, you have to look after them every single day, and people just aren't doing that with LinkedIn groups. So the key lesson is, if you want to build a thriving group, which is obviously what most people want, and build a community around that, you need to take it seriously. It's not something you can just create and leave. It's not going to happen. It requires time, effort, and commitment. Okay, and creating a poor experience actually damages your brand. So if you create a group that is a horrible experience and you're inviting people in there and it's awful, they're getting pitched, they're getting spammed, they're getting salespeople hassling them, it's going to have the opposite effect on your brand. Your brand is going to be associated with that poor experience. Okay, so we don't want to do that at all. We want to do it the right way. Okay, so how do we create a LinkedIn group the right way? So I'm going to go through some quick tips, and there's time at the end for Q&A. I know Sanjeev likes to keep these sessions really kind of quite punchy and really value packed, so I've put in some key points in here, but we do have time for Q&A at the end if you've got some burning questions around groups. So this is our group and community. It's called the Data Quality and Data Governance Professionals Forum. Okay, we've got about 11,500 members in there. It goes up quite quickly. We've added a couple of hundred members in the last few weeks. So I created this group about 2007, and really we kind of did what everyone else used to do, which is allow anyone to post content in there, share links and share webinars and all this kind of stuff. And over the years, the kind of engagement was great initially, and then it tailed off. About 4 or 5 years ago, it became quite empty in terms of engagement. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we made a conscious decision to relook at this community and really make some fundamental changes that have transformed it. So I'm going to show you what those changes are today. Okay, so the key thing here is our group is not as big as other data groups, right? We've got 11,500 members. It's nowhere near as big as some of these, big data and analytics groups that have 500,000 members. So you might think, well, what's the point if it's a small group? The key is we have much more engagement around commentary and just engagement in general. So for example, if I look at big data and analytics, even though it's got 500,000 people in there, if I looked at the last 100 posts and they had 0 comments, most of those posts had 0 likes, which tells you that no one is even looking at it. So lots of members in there, no engagement, which means no one's getting any real value from it at all. Certainly not the people who run it, because you need an engaged community in order to kind of profit from that community and to get value from it yourself. So when you look at our most recent posts, we've got like 25, 30, we often get 20 plus comments on every single post. Okay, so that's the big difference. Okay, and here's how we did it. Okay, so I'll try to lay these steps out for you. The first thing is to pick a group name that defines your niche focus. The key is don't go too broad, don't make it too generic, okay, because as you can see here, I put in data science and there's nearly 4,500 groups. That's not people, that's 4,500 groups that have some element of data science in them, right? So we have to think, okay, how can we differentiate? So you might want to do data science for your industry, or data science for your particular geographical region, or some different kind of positioning around that data science. It could be data science platform enablement, or data science engineering, or something like that, right? Or data science tools, right? So you need to think about differentiation, really, really key. Look at what already exists. Don't reinvent the wheel. If there's a group already there, don't use the exact same name, because you'll be competing against that group. Look at the most popular groups and see what they're doing right, and see how you could take elements of that and apply to your particular niche differentiation. The key thing is that you want to think about how is this going to relate to your personal or company brand focus. Okay, so let's say you're a data science professional. Yeah, so if you create a group called Data Science Professionals, you're going to be going up against these 4,300 groups potentially. So think about how you could change it slightly so that it appeals more to where you want to go with your career or your business. Really, really important. So step 2, you need to create some compelling invitation text, right? So here's an example of ours here, but we can see it's very important to put keywords in there. LinkedIn isn't very mature in the way it works out its kind of search algorithm, so you want to really stuff some keywords in there. So you can see my group is called Data Quality and Data Governance Professionals Forum. I repeat that name so that I'm getting that keyword in of data quality and data governance, and I mention it again, data quality and data governance, data quality, data governance. I say it multiple times, data quality. So I'm saying it over and over again because the search criteria for LinkedIn is actually quite crude. Okay, so if you put a few keywords in there, it will help you. Okay, so that's your invitation text, and really think about using every word within that invitation text block that you have available. You want to define your rules of engagement. LinkedIn allows you to set your rules. It has a section for your invitation text and also a section for your rules as well. Be very clear about the rules and stick to them. So my rules are no spam. I don't even allow people to send a link to their latest article, right? We just don't allow any of that because we get so many of those posts being submitted that we moderate them and remove them, because if everyone posted a link to their webinar or their article, the forum would just be swamped with, look at me, and it's taking people away from the forum. When you have a link to an article, people leave the forum, and any form of engagement then goes to someone else's blog. All right. You can share links to your own content if you're the group leader, but I'll show you how to do that in a moment using like a bulletin type approach. We need to be mindful that we don't ignore the rules and just spam the group ourselves because it's our group. We think, well, I own the group, I can do what I want. I'm just going to send a promotion. I'm going to promote my latest articles and things like that. We need to be mindful. If we set the rules, we abide by those rules largely as well. Okay, because people will just kind of push against that and react against it. So here's an example of the rules I've got in here, and I'm happy to share these slides with you so you can see what we've got. Or go over to the Data Quality and Data Governance Professionals Forum and you can see the rules when you try and get an invite into that group. It's really, really key at the start to seed and grow your membership. Okay, so you need to build some target lists. So these could be like your inner circle of colleagues and people you've worked with, old clients, current clients, prospects, old and new, key people in your network such as influencers, maybe subscribers to your email list if you run a business and you have some subscribers on there. ICP targets, these are ideal client profile targets, so these are people you want to invite to the group. Okay, so you build up these lists initially, then you have a weekly outreach schedule. I've taken this from I run a course to help data consultancies attract clients and data software vendors to attract clients, and this is one of the modules we have in our program, and this is just an overview slide for that. So it's very similar to what you would do if you were trying to attract an audience to your content. So we're doing the same thing. We're building these lists, and then we're trying to figure out, okay, what content am I going to share in the group? Okay, what's my how am I going to engage influencers and the inner circle within my community, outside of the group, to bring them into the group. Okay, so ask them to share a post or to share some ideas or something within the group. So you have to build a content and growth strategy around your group. So kind of skimming it over here, I can get into it a bit more in the Q&A, but you have to have that thought process in mind. You want to kickstart trending or evergreen discussions. You see here, Rosie, my partner, my wife in the business, she's sharing tips such as, how do you track the ROI of data quality improvement? What books are everyone reading on this topic? What do you do for a business case for data quality? How do you build a center of excellence? So these are all the typical evergreen questions that are coming up, but she'll post things as well about data literacy, so trending topics as well. So you need to think about what are the trendy topics and what are the evergreen topics as well, and share both of those. And as the group owner, you should be instigating that discussion to get that engagement going at the start. You want to promote the group, and kind of 3 ways you can do it. Well, lots of different ways you can do that, but 3 common ways we do is I will promote the group in my own status feed. Okay, on my personal status feed or the company status feed, I'll say, hey, check out our group. We've got 11,500 members. We're covering this topic this week. Come and join us. So I'm actively sharing the group on LinkedIn. I'll share it in my own personal newsletter, the company newsletter as well. We do group bulletins as well. LinkedIn isn't brilliant at sharing the latest posts in a group with its audience, within the community. So you can create a post yourself, do like a roundup of all the latest discussions, and then you can promote that to the entire email list of the group, which is quite a powerful feature. You can only do that once a week, so it makes sense to do that as like a weekly bulletin. You go, hey guys, here's all the latest discussions that have come in. Here's the links to all of them. Feel free to jump in. When we do that, we see a spike in engagement every time. Yeah. And then you can have some personalized one as well. You can see here I've reached out to a chief data officer, head of data governance, and I've said, hey Dennis, Dennis is a really prominent guy within our industry. I've said, hey, there's a forum discussion going on right now. I think it's perfect for your expertise. I'd really value your opinion. So if you do that to say 10, 15 people, you might get 5 people jumping into the discussion and getting it going. Every discussion needs that initial bit of energy to get it going, and that's really, really key. And if you own a group, it's your job to put some energy into those discussions and get them moving, certainly in the early days when the community is just getting going. Everyone wants to know about how to monetize a group. Okay, so there's a few different ways. So you can see here, what I've done is, so Rosie is the group owner with myself, and what she's done is she's created a weekly bulletin, and she said, hey, we're actually doing a webinar for what we thought might help the group, and it's called How to Create Rapid Data Quality Improvement. So we've not promoted this as a separate post, because that would kind of be a little bit unfair on other people who aren't allowed to kind of promote their webinars. We've included it in the bulletin, so we're adding value by sharing a bulletin. It's helpful, there's lots of information in there. We say, hey, if you're interested, we've got a webinar coming up, right? So, and we had 108 people register for that webinar, so I've now got 108 people going into my marketing sequence potentially, that I could just reach out to them individually. I could go through and identify who are kind of prospective clients, but of course I'm driving them to a webinar where I could potentially sell them something at the end of the webinar as well, or build some kind of sales relationship for the longer term. Okay, so that's one part of the monetization strategy. If you're not an expert, let's say you're a data science professional starting out and you want to start a group to build your community over the next 5-10 years, and build your career as well, accelerate your career, one of the best things you can do is interview people. Okay, so you don't always have to be the expert on the topic. You could chart your journey, or you could here I've invited Nicola Ascombe, who knows more about data governance than me. She's a data governance expert doing it longer than me. I'm more of a data quality guy. She's a data governance person, so I invite her onto a webinar. I did a guest interview with her. That brings people onto the webinar, onto the show, just like Sanjeev's doing. He invites people on. He's knowledgeable about his industry and his expertise, but he still brings on other people from time to time. And it's a really common format now. And you could have sponsors for those slots. You can say, hey, we're doing a data science webinar today. This data science webinar is sponsored by IBM, Oracle, Informatica, whoever, and get them. If your show gets big enough, they will pay you for a sponsored slot. Other ways we've done it with technology briefings. Yeah, so we've invited sponsored vendors on to talk for, like, say 20-30 minutes about their product and how it helps the industry. You can get commissions, or you can just charge them a flat fee to present for 30 minutes to the community. So some simple ways of monetization there, particularly if you're not an expert and you're not really trying to sell your services. Okay, but obviously building a community is great for your career, because you're going to be at the epicenter of any job opportunities that are going. You'll see those job opportunities coming into the group. You'll build relationships with very senior people within the industry, and then you can just reach out to them and say, hey, any positions available, and just make it clear that you're looking to accelerate your career. So you're kind of front of mind with them where they do need a data science professional, for example. Okay, so key takeaways: think carefully about the purpose and benefit of the group for you and your audience. That's really, really key. Don't just create the name and throw it out there. Think carefully about that. Set the rules and the tone of the group, okay, and moderate and manage the group daily. Don't expect engagement to happen. You'll need to nurture it. Okay, you'll need to grow it consistently and be patient with monetization and opportunity creation. It will come, but if you try and exploit the community too early by doing lots of promotional messages and buy my stuff too soon, you'll kill the group. People will just react against that. You need to nurture the community a little bit and then reap rewards once you've done that. So I think we've got a bit of time for Q&A. So yeah, over to you, Sanjeev. Any questions that you want to put to me, or obviously anybody else who wants to post any questions as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Dylan. It is. I mean, I was really listening to the entire thing. I have posted a couple of takeaways that I was doing over the time on the chat. So I have, some personal struggles as well, right? I wouldn't be shy away from sharing that. Uh, I always feel that when you're on the LinkedIn, right, you're trying to balance things out. So I have my profile, I have a page, Data Ki Baat, that I run, and then I have a group as well, right? So it is often very confusing that where do you put more attention? And as a human being, when I put more attention on my profile and miss out on the Data Ki Baat page, and then group, I feel very, I'm very bad, if you really ask me. So what are your thoughts and suggestion if somebody, really wants to manage these three things together?
Yeah. Okay. I think you've got to see them as separate assets, really. Okay. So so you got your personal profile, you got your company profile, you got your LinkedIn group. What else were you referring to? You got personal profile, company profile, LinkedIn group. Are those the main areas that you've got?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. So what I would say is that the main focus for you should be on your personal profile, because that's where you'll get the most traction.
Mm-hmm.
You'll build a community there organically anyway. Okay. And the community you build in a group kind of has a slightly different purpose. You can promote what you're doing in there, but you don't want to make it all about you. You want to make it about the mission of your audience. So you need to think about, okay, so a community should be about the community. It shouldn't, in a way, shouldn't really be about you. Okay, so you really need to think about what is the driving force behind that community, right? What is the kind of mission that they're on? What is the purpose that they have in life, and what is the outcome that they're looking for? Okay, so it may be, let's use data science as an example. It might be data science career success, right? Or data science technology success. How to become a really technical, proficient person at data science. It could be emerging trends in data science, right? So you need to think about what is the goal of the group? What is the group striving towards? What is the destination that you want everyone in the group to attain to, right? So I see them as separate entities in a way. Your personal profile is really about, again, it's building community. You can still build your personal profile via the content you're putting out on your status feed and things like that. But that's far more about you kind of exploiting whichever opportunities you want to on your personal page, right? So again, let's say you want to sell a product or you want to sell a service or whatever. So that's kind of predominantly where you're doing that on your personal page. The community is something you can use to kind of help with that. It can accelerate with it, but you don't want to be just promoting into your group, if you see what I mean. It should be about it's part of the puzzle. Yeah. So what I would do there would be, for example, to each week within your personal group kick off a discussion. Yeah, you can use your group to figure out what people want to learn. So a community is a great example of finding things that people are struggling with, because they if you make the group discussion only, people will go into that group to discuss the problems they have, and that will allow you to think of, okay, I can create a service around that, I can create a joint venture around that, I could create some kind of product or kind of solution to help people with that thing. I could find some sponsors who could help with that. So the community has a lot of different purposes, but one of the best things is to use it to figure out what the audience wants and what they're struggling with. Okay, you can use it to find new guests. You can so the two kind of go hand in hand. So but you really need to think about what your personal mission is, what the mission of the group is and try and align them. Does that make sense? I don't know if I've answered your question fully there. In terms of timing, the group is something you would probably go in and moderate once a day. You'd look at all the invites coming in. You don't want to allow anyone in. You want to have them kind of gated so you can see who's coming in and make sure they're a good fit. Also allows you to connect with everyone as well. So what will happen initially, you'll seed the group with your own network, and then as it grows, it will just organically grow on its own. But it's a great way to add 10 to 15 new connections every single day from people coming in, because then you can say, hey, I'm the group founder, welcome to the group, do you want to connect? They'll all say yes when you do that, because they see you as the founder of the community. So I think the community is like it puts fire on the flames of your own personal brand, but you want to treat it as a separate kind of promotional entity, if you like.
Yep. Thanks. Kind of explain, but yeah, I think what I'm getting out of this, answer that you just gave is that you got to really balance it out well. There are still chances that you might feel that maybe you have done a little less on that area versus this area. I mean, maybe your personal pages and all, but it looks like it is all based upon why are you driving the group. That why has to probably come up more than anything else. Thank you for the explanation. One other thing that I also feel guilty of is that denying people post when I see that spam. So how do you do it successfully without making people really run away? Because I personally do not promote spams, unnecessary promotions and all of those, because I clearly say that it is no string attached kind of a group where you come and learn and then grow. So I kind of decline when people start promoting and trying to push a post which I don't really want and which doesn't align with my group motto. How do you do that successfully, Dylan?
Okay, you need to set the tone as the group founder. Okay, that's really, really key. So you need to create discussion. If you go in there and all you're doing is sharing your latest blog articles or your latest webinar or show or whatever, you're sending a signal to everyone else, hey, it's okay to promote. And they'll promote, yeah. So you'll get marketers trying to sell their products, you'll get people trying to sell jobs, you'll get people sending links to their articles and white papers. If you do it, they'll do it. So first of all, we're very conscious that we don't make the same mistakes as everyone else, right? So we block any content coming into the group, any post at all, whether it's a discussion post or a link post or a job post, whatever it is, everything gets gated and moderated, and we look at it. And so the first thing we do is we look at it. If it's got a link in it, it gets rejected straight away. Sometimes we'll say to people, which is tough because I have data consultancies who are clients, and they look at the group and they go, well, this is perfect for driving people to our webinar or to our white paper. And I go, yeah, but that's not our rule. So it's tough for me because I have to say to some of our clients, you can't do it. And some of them are marketers and they're like, well, I want it because this group's perfect for us. What I get them to do is to extract the key learnings from that webinar and get them to share it as a discussion, and then say to everyone, hey, what do you think? What has worked for you? Discussion is everything, right? So unless it's a discussion, we don't allow it in. Sometimes people will send, perhaps English isn't their first language, and they've written a discussion, what they think is a discussion topic, and it needs restructuring or elaborating or expanding. We will go back to them and say, I think this has got the making of a really good discussion. Would you mind rewriting it in this way and resubmitting it? Every time they say, yeah, that's that, and they're appreciative that we've helped them craft a better question, because we know what questions are going to elicit a response. But the big thing is you have to start discussion as well. So just going in and saying, hey, is anybody reading a book on data science right now, or data quality, or data governance, or data whatever, and say, what books are you reading on this right now? What's working for you? You could go in and say, hey, has anybody taken any training lately? What training courses have impressed you? You need to get discussion going, right? So if you go back to the previous slide I showed you with Rosie, she goes in occasionally and will say, what books are you reading? What does everyone think about this hot new topic? Has anyone tried it? Is it working for you? You've got to, at the start, you've got to get that discussion going. And what will happen is, again, the tone of the group is dictated by the founder. If people see that, oh, it's okay to post discussions, people will start to post discussions. So personally, We block all forms of links to anything because they kill the group, they take people away from the group, and we'll make it active about discussions. The other thing I do is I'll reach out to people and say, hey, we've got this great group. Can you think of any questions that around this topic that you'd like to ask the group? And you get them to think of a question, almost like you can have an ask the expert type feature where you can say to people, what questions have you got around this topic? And then either you can post those questions into the group, or you can say to them, "Oh, would you be so kind to share that question in the group, or we'll post it for you." So that's another thing Rosie does. She'll reach out to people and say, "Hey, look, if there's some questions for the group, any questions that you want to post." They'll tell her a question, and then she'll share that with the group. But you have to get discussion going. Really, really key.
Yeah, one more question from my side is that so it's my personal observation, Dylan, that the pages get less traction naturally. I mean, I think I don't know what is the reason. Have you do you also feel and observe that the pages get less traction as compared to the group?
Okay, company
And
pages. Yeah, Matt, completely different. Yeah, so I think company pages, they are trying to improve that. I know they've made some changes there, but a page is typically about the company. Yeah, it hangs off a company page, doesn't it? So the kind of purpose is always going to be connected with the company, and people are always skeptical about that. And also, who wants to engage with the page? It doesn't have the same attraction. Whereas a community where you go in there, so for example, you go into our community, the Data Quality and Data Governance Professionals
yeah.
Forum, you will see like the first 10 discussions are really buzzing. There's lots of activity there. There's new discussions coming in every day. There's some of the world's leading authors and kind of thought leaders sharing ideas. So it's like it's far more value with a community like that for the member than there is on most company pages. Now, if a company page shares, there are some company pages out there that share great advice every single day, and they seem to do quite well. Okay? But
Okay.
it takes a lot of effort to maintain a really valuable company page. That's the problem with value. People will take the path of least resistance to the value they need, right? It's like, and if the community has more value than a company page, they'll go to the community page. So I think company pages are okay if they're packed with value. If the value isn't there, you're just not going to get the engagement. It's as simple as that. So if people aren't liking, commenting, joining, following, there's no value. If there's value, people
Right.
will do those things. So if they're not joining, it's because there's not enough value. Simple as that, really.
Absolutely. I mean, what I thought was, I mean, obviously, the point that you said is like really the top one because it's all about value. But I also felt that since it is one way, right? I mean, the company page owner would basically be able to post more, and other people can probably comment and say like and whatever, right? But in the group, maybe it is a little bit more open because the person can also post, and then I think the conversation is very mutual. I thought that would be the one of the reason because you are also encouraged to post, and here you can't do probably. So
Yeah. I think, like I say, they have different purposes. Your company page is, let's say you have a company page for, data Baat, right? So
yeah.
it's going to be around that vehicle, the data Baat vehicle, right? But I say your community should be about the individuals of that community. It's a slightly different focus, right? It's a slightly different focus. The community should be always about what is the target destination for that community. What are they striving towards? Do they want to be a better data science technician? Do they want to be, they want a greater understanding about data science tools? Do they want to be a better data science manager or whatever it is you need to think about that target for them. Whereas the company page can often be more about your kind of your service and the kind of content around that. It tends to be a different focus.
Great. No, that's really, I mean, a big differentiator here. I want to reiterate that it's all about individual when it comes to community and group. And when you're talking about pages, it's motto and then aim and goal is very different. So I think that's something that we should probably keep in mind.
Yeah. I think just on that point, I think with the company page, you still want to make it about your ideal client profile or your ideal community member profile, whoever that is, or your ideal member profile. You still want to be obsessed about their pains, their frustrations, the gains they want in life. Because people have a problem they have and don't want, and a goal they want and don't have. So we need to focus on those goals and problems that people have in our content anyway, even if it's on a company page, a personal page, wherever that is. If it's a discussion on a community, we still want that focus. I just think with a company page, it's just naturally going to have a different feel, because it's going to be about the company a little bit more than a community would. A community, in many ways, your company needs to kind of take a back seat, because if your company is too focused, if your company has too big a focus within the group, it's going to push people away, because they're going to feel like, well, this isn't about me, it's about you, it's about your company. I want the community to be about me. Community should be about the individual. That's what we're trying to get.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think this topic is so wide, and then so, I wouldn't say complex, but there is always something to explore and learn new, because it is all about people. And when it comes to people, there is a lot more that we can explore every day, every time we discuss talent. So I think I appreciate your time today. Wonderful session, a lot of learning, and I'm sure people will get benefit out of it. So
Awesome.
thank you very much, Darren, for
No
joining
problem
us
at all.
today. Thank you
Anytime.
very
Take
much.
care. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Thank you. So, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this session. If you could not join this live, there is going to be a video posted. Dylan had two sessions with me. This one is all about community and groups, and then earlier ones is about personal branding and how to build your own brand. I'm gonna post both of them together so that you can really watch it along, and then get grasp and take some outcome out of it, and then use it for your benefit. So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you very much.